Hey.
Hey. What are we talking about today?
Houston. Well, actually, we're going to talk about West University.
West University. Everything you need to know. So if that's what you're here for, stick around. We're getting after it right now.
So, West University Place. Great neighborhood.
What's this channel all about? What are we trying to teach
Living in
people?
Houston, Texas.
All the good? Just the good?
The bad and the ugly.
And the ugly. So, if someone was interested in that kind of stuff, what would they do? What would you encourage them to do?
Subscribe.
Hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell. That way they're
Notified every time we've got a new video.
every time we put out a new video. And look, whenever you, your family, anyone you know is ready to move here to Houston, Texas, what would you want them to do?
Give us a call.
Send us a text message, send us an email, send us a note via
Pony Express.
any which way you want to contact us. We've got your back when moving here to Houston. Now, let's get into it.
West University Place.
Everything you need to know. Hey, okay, so I got to tell this little story. Drew didn't want me to use this quote, but I'm going to go ahead and use it. So I'm just getting into real estate a few years back. First holding open houses in West U. And by the way, everybody calls it West U. Nobody calls it West University. West University Place. Yeah.
Which is the proper name.
Proper name. So I'm there at an open house, and this guy comes up and he goes, "You know why I like buying houses in West U?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, why do you like?" He says, "It's like putting money in the bank. Anytime you want to get to your cash, you can sell and not lose any money." Now, obviously, we can't say that's true legally, and we can't make that claim. But that was his belief, and it has a lot of merit to it. It's a very, very stable, desirable neighborhood.
There's a lot of advantages to living in West University Place because it's a city inside the city.
All right.
And so they have their own little city government.
Their laws, they've got
Police
their own
department.
police, fire, water, trash, everything within it. But then also, I didn't know this, but did you know its nickname?
What?
It's the neighborhood city. I think that's funny because it is. I mean, we do these videos all the time, and we're doing one on Montrose, and Montrose is like the exact opposite of this, right? West U is all about the kids, the family, the neighborhood, right? And what drives it, well, first of all, let's tell them where West U is, right?
So it's located inside the inner loop in Houston, so very close to downtown, Galleria,
Med Center, Rice University.
In fact, there are a lot of people that work in the Med Center that live in West University. Same with downtown.
Right, and the border. So, because we're going to pop it in on the map, but if you're following along and you're on Google Maps, what are the main roads that kind of make that boundary?
So Kirby, Bel Air, which also
Kirby's
turns
along the
into
east.
Holcomb, and then
What are you saying?
Community.
Kirby's on the east, okay? Then Holcomb.
Community's on the west.
West.
Holcomb/Bel Air is to the south, and Bissonnet is to the north. There's a little bit of a
little.
and then there's also
Like a chimney.
a little subset in the southern part. I think it's like 10 blocks called Southside Place. That's
Right.
not technically a part of West U, but if you're thinking West U, you're gonna think Southside Place.
90 some odd % of the people in Houston probably don't realize that Southside Place is not within West U because it just kind of all blends together, and it's a tiny little 10-block section out of it.
And there's some little quirky things that are a little different. Like I can remember back when they banned smoking in bars in Houston. I'm gonna date myself a little bit. There's a bar in West University, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it was called Marquis Du, like listen to, and they allowed smoking because it was technically in West University. And so just a little funny fact to throw in.
So it's a city within a city. It's not Houston, separate services. Now, what about the school systems? The school system is still part of HISD.
So Houston Independent School District.
But one of the things that makes West U so desirable is it's
West University Elementary School.
It's like it and River Oaks Elementary, kind of the same sort of a back and forth, or would you say here, right on the camera in front of everybody, that West U Elementary is even more desirable than River Oaks?
I think they're both very good schools. I think that would be a little bit of a toss-up, but I think yes.
She's a politician.
It's a very good school.
Yeah.
Very good school. Okay, and then your middle school is Lanier and the high school is Lamar.
Yeah.
Although a lot of people that live in West University, if we're going to keep it real, send their kids to private school, I believe, a lot for all three.
Well, not only do they send them to private, or they have them in one of the, what do you call them, the satellite programs, the
magnet school?
Yeah, the magnet.
So bottom line is that West University is zoned to very good schools. There are a lot of people who choose to send their kids to private schools. There are also some specialty schools within HISD, like the Carnegie School, that have different, they're part of the magnet program, so that there are some people that also will send their kids to magnet schools, but it kind of runs the gamut.
Well, and education is so important within West U because one of the highest, 85% is the demographic. 85% of the people within West U have their college degree. Adults have their yes, adults have their college degree.
We are the literal family. They've taught me to be literal. So
okay. So it was founded about 1917 by a former Tennessee governor, came here after serving, and then developed it. And at the time, the Med Center didn't exist, but Rice University did, or Rice Institution, I think it was called at the time. And that's where he came up with the name. I'm going to have to check my notes for that governor's name. Ben Hooper. And it was developed as its own city. And it wasn't anywhere near Houston at the time.
Yeah, there's a pretty interesting background story about how West U came about to be. And we'll put a link down in the comments because we're not going to get into all that today. But it's actually really an interesting read. And the streets are all named after authors.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So, cool thing. So, it's a pretty... the city's got West University Place has got a lot of notoriety. Mm-hmm. It's been pretty consistently recognized, as one of the best cities to live in.
Things like best cities to live, best quality of life, top earning. It's constantly ranked within Forbes. As one of the highest, per capita earning places. But different than our River Oaks video, whereas River Oaks is luxury, it's very high end. West U is very affluent, but it seems to be all focused on the family and the kids, like you were talking about.
First of all, the lots are smaller in West University, and so you tend to be closer to your neighbors than you are in River Oaks because those are much larger lots. So it's a very different feeling. Which I think people with kids, the whole sense of family, it's that strong community sense. Right. Whereas, River Oaks are a little bit more spread out.
So you've got more gates and fences and...
West U is very walkable. And depending on where you are, what you're going to be walkable to. So if you're closer to Kirby, you're going to be walkable to... Rice Village, or the Village Arcade, which has got all kinds of shopping, restaurants, everything you can think of. But it's all outdoor, so it's not like a mall or anything like that. And super fun place to go. You can actually go see live music and
great French restaurant.
Yeah, there's a good French restaurant. There's lots of good restaurants and lots of things to do and lots of places to shop. So you've got some of the bigger stores like Banana Republic, Gap, that kind of thing, and then you've got a lot of just local boutiques. So,
but what I was talking about was the parks, because you were explaining, like, unlike Houston, where the parks are a little...
Yeah, we're gonna get there. I was just going through the...
Oh, okay.
I was going in your order.
My order?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're also close to good grocery shopping. I just want to throw that in there because there is a Whole Foods on Bel Air Boulevard, and then there's also one on Kirby that's outside of West U, but so you kind of got options there for that. And you're close to other, I think there's like a big HEB in Randall's too.
Cool.
So everything's very convenient,
Yeah.
super simple. And then parks, I think, are another big draw because, you know, you have amenities like you would in one of the major master plan communities.
Right.
Such as there's a huge recreation center on Bel Air Boulevard that's got a massive swimming pool. There's a gym with cardio equipment, weights. You can there's got racquetball, squash, and then you've got, I think, 3 parks that have tennis courts.
Yeah.
So if you like to play tennis, plenty of places to do that.
But then there's also the park that's got the community
Colonial
pool.
Park.
Colonial Park.
That's a paid membership to be able to use the pool.
It's nominal.
Yeah, it's a nominal fee. And, you know, if you don't have a swimming pool, and a lot of the lots in West U aren't large enough to have pools, and so having those 2 community pool options is a really good thing for kids because it gets so hot here in the summer, and it's a great way to keep them.
Well, and again, it goes back to that what makes West U so unique is that sense of community, that sense of all the kids going out together. And there are a number of houses that have pools, but it's one of those neighborhoods and one of those areas where if you don't have a pool, everybody would be going down to the community pool anyway, even if you have one.
Yeah.
So now that we've sold you on West U, what about all the
downside?
The downside.
Are there any negatives to West U?
There are. There's a few.
So after Harvey, which was a big storm that we had here,
2017 September-ish, right?
Yeah.
End of August, beginning of September.
There was a lot of major flooding, and you know, each time we have one of these big floods, we think, oh, it could never be worse than it is worse than the last one. So Harvey was devastating, and in fact, they've been working on the infrastructure to try and
avoid that
happening again. But before, West U was not in the floodplain, and now a lot of it is, and so that's something to be aware of. Not every house flooded.
No, not every house flooded, and not every house is in the floodplain. However, it went from there being a little bit of West U that was considered in the floodplain to where now the majority, if not most of it, is within the 100 or the 500 year floodplain. And why that's important is, well, it's important because of the flooding, but also it's important because, you know, all this renovation that they're doing to avoid it, there was a little kicker in there. There was a little clause that caught some people by surprise that says, oh, if your house is in one of these flood plains and you decide to do any renovations, then what you have to do to qualify for that renovation is you have to make sure that your house is 2 feet above the nearest floodplain. So it's gonna, say you wanna go in and update your kitchen and you happen to be in one of these, well, you're talking about having to go in and elevate the whole house before you can go in and get the permits for it.
A big deal.
Big deal. So it's, you know, one of the other drawbacks, you remember my clients that I had that moved in from Colorado, worked down in the med center, and, you know, so they wanted to be in that really convenient to the med center, sort of in that southwest part of town. Well, when they were moving in and we were looking at areas, we started Meyerland and then Bel Air and then West U, and literally for the same budget, for the same amount of money, the further to the east and the northeast that you went, the smaller the lots, the smaller the house, the older the house, the less updated. So, you know, when I'm talking about what's a negative is your dollar can go, it's a much bigger bang for your buck in areas that are right around West U or very close to West U.
But there are, the larger lots in West University are more expensive, and you can, there are some, I mean, there's some beautiful luxury homes.
I'm not disagreeing
in
with
West
that.
University. So
All I'm saying is your dollar can get you a lot bigger lot. The same amount of money can get you a much bigger lot and get you a much newer house if you're just outside of Westview than if you're in Westview.
But the flooding is a lot more rampant. So in Meyerland and Bel Air. So that's just the caveat, right? So then some of the homes over there have been built up almost like
but it's the same thing.
So essentially the downside of living in Westview could be the potential for flooding, the lot size, depending on what your budget is. And also Kerry brought up a really, really good point, and that is turnover. There's just, especially in a tight market like we're in right now, there's just not as much turnover because people like living there.
Right.
You do get people transferring in and out, so it's not that homes don't ever go on the market, but oftentimes homes will sell off market, by word of mouth, just because inventory is so low and demand is high.
Yeah. And oftentimes people will wait very patiently for the right house within Westview, and so they'll have their feelers out, and as soon as that one is either hit the market or even before the market, it can go, like Drew says, off market.
In fact, I have clients that looked for a house, for over a year, finally found their, dream home, and they have small kids, so they were really excited to raise their kids there, and then boom, within I think less than 6 months they were transferred overseas for 4 years.
But
they love the neighborhood so much, and they love that house. They didn't sell it. They decided to keep it, and they're leasing it out while they're gone, so that they have a place to come back to.
And they don't have to go back through looking to buy another house in that area.
So we love Westview. We think it's a great.
You know what else we love?
What else? Helping people.
And we do it all the time. So look, if you or anybody you know is looking to move here to Houston, anywhere in Houston, just give us a call, send us a text message, shoot us an email, or heck, even send us a note via
Pony Express.
Any which way you want to contact us, we've got your back when moving to Houston. See you next time.
See you soon.